All right, so welcome to this second diary entry for Open Assistant, Marketing Open Assistant. This is Ollie and I'll walk you through what we've learned so far. To start off with the highlights, I'll walk you through the conversations I've had with Stephen in the past day. So the workflow is getting in shape. Stephen already published 3 blogs. Also, the writing style of the blogs, I had to tweak it a little bit. So we'll see how Stephen picked that up and put it by himself in the system prompts to get a bit better. It was mainly the tone of voice and then the formatting of the blogs. Another thing that I want to look into is to configure the agents a bit more towards what we want to achieve with the setup of Stephen. So let's maybe first hit it off with the conversation that we had. So I started yesterday with, "Hi Stephen, it's been a while, we've recorded the first diary and I want to explain what I'm setting up. So I'll send the transcript below, as you can see, that's what I said. And I want Stephen to create a draft for it for me to review. It doesn't have to be verbatim. I just want Stephen to catch the interesting takeaways, get it out of the transcript. I'll pause the URL in a bit so that I could actually start reviewing. So here we go, this is the transcript. Stephen responded. The steps are done, so it made steps for itself. It made an actual title, a slug, a status that was on draft, ready for my review. It was really good. So I went over to the CMS to actually validate what Stephen had put there. I responded, I like the idea. However, I wanted to write a bit more timeless. I found that Stephen was literally describing himself as Stephen. I want the blog posts to be a bit more timeless, but I don't want it to be that specific. So I really mentioned that, done. So it redrafted it with a tone shift, more casual, went to a timeless series. Then it still said that there was a placeholder for the URL. In the meanwhile, I got the URL, it updated it. Then I asked what would be a good banner image. So I went ahead and fixed that. It missed the CTA, so I added that, or I mentioned to Stephen to add a CTA. So basically I was done with adding the previous blog. And then at the end of this, I basically sent a quick voice message to describe things that I did not want to forget. So it actually added a transcript for this specific video on the key takeaways. So what I want to dive into for this specific blog post is the configuration of the different agents that Stephen is using. So let's maybe head over to Stephen itself. So here we are. If we go to the settings tab, the first sub-tab on settings is agents. And by default, there is a research agent, a browser agent, a content writer agent, and a file handler agent in writing setup. So I don't really need a research browser, content writer, and file handler agent. I basically want to regroup the research agent and the browser agent with the file handler agent, because my system only consists of Notion for scribbles and Nextcloud to really store markdown files, media files whatsoever. The content writer I'll keep as is. The blog master I won't update. However, there's a small update that I want to show you. I had to repeat to Stephen yesterday that the iframe needs to be full width if I add it to the blog. So I added it basically in the backstory of the agent. As mentioned in the first diary, for this series, I keep the backstory really small when I start with a specific agent. Why? Don't overdo it. Just keep it simple. Start with a short backstory and you'll see that your system will adapt as it goes. You don't need to program anything. You can just adjust the system as you go. So let's do exactly what we said in terms of creating new agents. So what I'll do is, how will I do this? The content writer agent I'll keep, and I want to see the content writer agent can compose a document, but I see normally that I have a tool to analyze content. So I'll also put that with the content writer agent, or maybe I'll do it with the research agent. What I want to do is I want to keep the research agent as is, basically. There is one catch. It's not smart to put too many tools or assign too many tools to one agent. So the whole key of having an agentic system is that It's good to have different agents and to have dedicated tools. But if you have too many agents, too many tools, the overall system is not really able to point in the right direction. So we really want to keep it lean and mean, so to say. So what I want to do is I'll put together the actual browser stuff with the research agent. So let's go to the browser agent. I'll disable it. I'll just delete it. Cannot be undone. I know. Let me refresh this. Okay, awesome. It's gone. Then the file handler agent. Okay, it can create HT. I will not require Steven in the short run to create PDFs, Word documents, HTML pages, not really required. Let's keep it lean and mean. Okay, should I keep it to delete a file? Yeah, I'll keep it in. I'll change that research agent into some kind of knowledge base. Nah, let me split it up. I'll have a content writer and then I'll split it up with an external facing agent and an internal facing agent. So the external one should be able to read the web. We'll change that. File handler agent removed. Let's go. Lean and mean. Guys, this is an experiment. I really have no idea how well this is gonna work. Nevertheless, let's give it a shot. Okay, really good. This is a really small system. I like it. Okay. The priority of the different agents is also quite important. Why? So as you might have seen, there are intent keywords like calculate, task, schedule, think, and add keywords. Nevertheless. So if there is no intent keyword, it will just take the top 5. Luckily, I don't have a lot of agents in this specific setup, but it will just take the priority that you have defined by default. So it means that the default agents with their prompts and tools will be selected if there is no match. So the priority or the list here is quite important, but I think I like it. First, coordinator, research agent. I don't really like the name. I'll maybe adjust it. Content writer agent is really good. And then the blog master. I'll rename that. You'll mainly be in charge to write the actual blog posts or to come up with analysis of different sources. That seems good. Save. We'll see as we go. Great. Agent. That's fixed. Good. And research agent. I don't use mails, Outlook, Gmail, not in this setup. Search, find, list, browse, web page. Okay, these seem like a decent set of intent keywords. Let's maybe do that. And put it here. The research agent, I'm still not convinced with the name. Knowledge base as well as the World Wide Web. For Steven, you have access to Nextcloud where you can find the actual system. Notion for notes and scribbles. Yeah, that's mainly it, no? And the web for broader searches. Okay, you must use tools to answer questions. Great. First, think where you can find the actual information. So first, I wanted to think, where is the information? If internal, use unified search. If external, use web tools. If not sure, ask the user for input. Always cite your sources. I like that. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Let's see how that goes. So this is the current setup. We also have to be careful. If you create automations like cron jobs, we'll get into that in the next few videos. Steven, in this specific case, is able to schedule recurring jobs with the tools that are available here. So you don't need to write any code. If you prompt something that is a repetitive job, Stephen can detect that and create a job. You can actually find these here. There's not too many. There is a nightly soul update, nightly memory update, Outlook refresh, and it cleans the temporary directory. So Stephen can also create them. You can see the actual recipes, what it does. But if you start moving around or enabling and disabling tools, these jobs can be impacted. So why I really want to change and play with the agents. But I think we have a fairly limited set of agents over time. So this is only the second diary entry. I want to add a system to be able to publish to social channels. So I'll put all these things in another dedicated agent, and I might want to add a more graphic design agent. However, I feel like these are going to get into dedicated agent. The core of it are these three, and then the other ones are more auxiliary. Another thing that we quickly want to look at, what the system learned, is the system prompts. So yeah, this is something I did myself. I added the system prompt. This is not editable by Stephen itself, but I said, you are Stephen, the genius senior marketeer for Open Assistant who helps Ollie to produce and process raw ideas into content that can be published. Yada, yada, yada. The other parts are things that Stephen updated himself. We reorganized the agents. Stephen already wrote 3 blog posts, so we're getting there. The automation part of the graphic design is not top notch yet, so I'll look into that. We'll keep you posted. And apart from that, we'll keep producing. So it's quite easy to, just like this one, send a voice note, and then Stephen turns that literally into a blog post. I'll keep you posted and see you in the next one.